Continuing with the series in the 8th preview of the 12-part opponent video series, we're going to talk about a team that has a ways to go but going in the right direction, and that's the Virginia Cavaliers. When you look at the Cavs on the field, they returned 18 starters from 2010 that went 1-7 in league play and 4-8 overall. When you think of Virginia, there's something I found that surprised me. In 2010, did you know that Virginia was 37th in the nation in total offense? Interesting. However, they do lose to graduation Mark Barica, Dontrell Inman, and Keith Payne. Let's address who wins the quarterback battle in Charlottesville. It's a battle between three guys: Ross Matheny, Michael Rocco, Michael Strauss, and David Watford. On the quarterback battle, their head coach Mike London said he's quote, looking for a guy to have command of the huddle and to have a presence about him. So let's see who wins that quarterback battle there between those four. Right now the favorites are Matheny and Rocco, so we'll see who wins that there. As for the receivers, with four receivers who set out their spring game and their offense went in the tank against a defense that's going to get better and better as the year goes on. Chris Bird was their leading receiver last year in terms of receptions and touchdowns, and he comes back. But he was one of the four to sit out the spring game. In fact, all their top four receivers on their depth chart sat the spring game. That would be Bird, Tim Smith, Bobby Smith, and Matt Snyder. The next issue for their O is how to fill the big shoes Keith Payne leaves behind. It's going to be tough to replace a guy who had 14 rushing touchdowns in 2010. Perry Jones did see a lot of action last year, and Kevin Parks will compliment him in the backfield. They're both 5'8" and less than 200 pounds. However, when you see them and how they run, it's enough for them to have some change of pace. So on the line, they get four starters back, which includes Morgan Moses, who they believe could be the next great UVa offensive lineman. Think the Brickashaw Ferguson, who came from there, etc. He can play both tackle and guard, but let's see where he ends up on the line when the season starts. Defensively, they've had great talent at cornerback and at defensive end, among others, but this year's going to be no different. They'll have two very good players back at both those positions. Up front on the D-line is Cam Johnson, who led the team with 6.5 sacks and returns as their best player on the D-line. Also back on the D-line are D-tackles Matt Conrad and Nick Jenkins. Also they're back to play their second year in the 4-3. Remember, for years they were in a 3-4 with Al Groh, but last year was the first year they moved back to a 4-3. They lose St. Part at graduation, but they hope that Jake Snyder can do the job there. Their best defensive player returns in Chase Minifield. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the country and returns after leading the team with 6 INTs in 2010. And since teams are going to try to avoid Minifield, Riho Walker is going to have to step up and make opposing quarterbacks pay for challenging him. Now at the safety spot, they get Rodney McLeod and Corey Mosley back. Their other cornerback who's in question right now is Devin Wallace because of an indefinite suspension for matters off the field. Now to get him back would be huge, as in 2010 he broke up 6 passes. Now without Anzar Walcott, linebacker, who was also involved in that incident in January that led to Wallace's suspension, and Mike Price at center on the offense as well. And by the way, he's also serving an indefinite suspension of his own for a separate off-the-field matter. I mean, Leroy Reynolds, Steve Greer, and Aaron Talafaro, yes, the brother of former Penn State star Adams, are going to have to step up their games, especially Talafaro, who moves this year over to the strong side linebacker. On special teams, they're very solid, and their 3 of their key players are back in Heinkelbein, Randolph, their place kicker, who was 27 of 33 on field goals last year, and their punter Jimmy Howell. But when you look at the Virginia Cavaliers in 2011, they could do some damage. They do host William & Mary, that should be an easy win. Southern Miss and Idaho had a conference while going up to Indiana. In ACC play, of course, it's going to be brutal. They have to go to Miami, they have to go to Florida State, and they have to go to Maryland. But they host Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, and NC State. You know, when you look at their schedule realistically, this is a team that could do a lot of improving in 2011. I think they will. My prediction for Virginia in 2011 is 7-5, but just 3-5 in the Coastal. Now, that would be an improvement of 2 wins from last year, but that would be a big step in the right direction for Mike London's crew. Now, in part 9 of the 12-part video series, we'll talk about another team that's on the rise, and that's the 2011 Duke Blue Devils. See you then. Bye.